All right, so we're back here on another CU Sunday. We got divisional round preview. Kyle, we are one step closer to Super Bowl 56 in LA. We, right at the doorstep at this point. Got our guys in here. What's going on, Paul Father?
I'm great to be here, man. I don't have a dog in the fight, but this is probably the best weekend of NFL football, typically of the year, every year.
Yeah, ditto. Same here. I haven't had a dog in the fight in weeks. What's going on, Mo?
Years.
Yo, I guess, I ain't got a dog in the fight anymore either, but I mean, these matchups are kind of crazy. I'm sure we'll get into it, but I really wish they split the Sunday matchups. I wish one of those games was on Saturday and one of those games was on Sunday. I think those are the two best matchups of the weekend.
And a dog in the fight, and actually it's a game day for this young man. What's going on, Pat?
What do you mean the best games? The best games tonight, Niners Packers. We'll get into it, but I agree with you, Jeff. I mean, this weekend, last weekend was pretty boring, if you ask me. Outside of the two endings of two games, this weekend has four elite matchups. So we'll see. Let's get into it, though.
Yeah, big time. So, since this man has a dog in the fight, we're going before we get into it. What the guys' storylines to watch? I'm actually going with the guy who has a game day and actually has a dog in the fight. I'm gonna go with you first, Pat. Your storyline to watch in this divisional round.
Well, I mean, you can pick apart each game and kind of pick 3 or 4 storylines within each game, but I'm going to go with the rematch aspect. I mean, 3 of these 4 games have already been played this season. The only one that didn't play each other was Cincinnati and Tennessee. So Green Bay, San Francisco, Tampa, Rams, and the Bills and Kansas City all played already. So it's tough to beat a team twice, but they're familiar with each other. So I think that's a big part of this weekend is can some of these teams do it 2 times? Like Green Bay beat San Francisco, the Rams beat the Bucs, and the Bills beat the Chiefs. So can they repeat the performance, or is it going to be, that's kind of where I'm lying. Like I said, there's a ton of storylines within each game, but I'm going to go with that for the overall weekend.
Yeah, big time. What you got, Mo?
I mean, I'm with them on the rematch aspect, but depending on the winners, we could have rematches in the conference championships. Could be a rematch from 2 years ago with the Titans and Chiefs. Could be a rematch, from last year between Green Bay and Tampa. So I think that's something to note is because we could see that. And then, I know it was last year and 2 years ago, but even still, if you see Kansas City and Tennessee again, and they have already played. If you see Green Bay, the whole storyline is going to be, is Brady going to get his 8th Super Bowl? Can Aaron Rodgers get over the hump and finally get to the Super Bowl after 10 years? What's it been 10, 11 years? So I think depending on the winners, or do we have a possibility of just having a totally new matchup where it's not Tom Brady in the Super Bowl? It's not Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. And that's possible. Could it be a Rams versus Bills? I think that would be exciting. So I think just watching these games is do we go back to the typical is possibly Mahomes versus Rodgers or Mahomes versus Brady or whatever, or do we just get totally new matchups and maybe Aaron Rodgers gets to the Super Bowl? So it is a rematch thing, but I'm already looking ahead to next week, the possibilities of what the rematches could be.
All right, I'm going to go with you first, Paul Father, and bring in our special guest.
What I see here, and I kind of like about this, only 1 out of these 8 teams, the Cincinnati Bengals, don't have to win this weekend. All the rest of these teams have to win this game. The 49ers just in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. They had, whatever the bad luck last year, but they're good enough. They need to get back to the conference championship game. Rodgers has to win. Buffalo and Kansas City both have to win or their season's a failure. The Rams literally traded away everything to get a quarterback to win this game. So they have to win. Tampa Bay always has to win because you got limited time with Brady is one of the greatest in the league and one of the oldest in the league. The Titans have to get over the hump or it's oh, here we go again. The Bengals are the only team that can walk away with a loss and be good season, we got something to build on. So I think having 7 games with everything on the line is very interesting. The weight of these games are huge.
Yeah, big time. So bringing our guest, we got our guy Rob. What's going on, Rob?
Going on, fellas?
What up, Cruz?
Yo,
as you can tell, I sound amazing today.
Yes, yes, indeed. So, Rob, what's your storyline to watch this week?
My biggest storyline to see how well they're able to reincorporate Derrick Henry back into that game plan for Tennessee. like Jeff said, the Bengals they don't have to win, but it'll be a huge statement if they are able to slow down Derrick Henry, make him pretty much, like he wasn't even there. Because if you look at that Titans team, excuse me, if you look at that Titans team, what they've done collectively as a unit, as a running back unit, since Derrick Henry has gone down, the numbers are pretty much identical.
That's weird.
Is that a testament to the team, that the team is just really is built, well enough to support a running back or a running back room to put up big numbers, or is that a Derrick Henry thing? People like Jeff might say that's just a team and it doesn't matter who's in the backfield. But going further into that, it's just being able to slow down and possibly stop Derrick Henry. That defense is good enough to befuddle Ryan Tannehill, get him confused, get him shaken up a little bit. And we all know Joe Burrow can ball. This isn't some anomaly that he got hot in the late part of the season. He's been playing very well throughout the entirety of the season. So if they're able to slow down that Titans offense, Joe Burrow can get rolling a little bit. He has a plethora of weapons: Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. Not to mention Joe Mixon in the backfield. Like if they can just kind of not even neutralize, just kind of slow down that offense, I think it's going to be a long day for Tennessee.
Yeah. And my storyline also to almost echo what Pat was saying. These both are rematches, especially in the NFC, is the rematches of the Week 3 slates. Obviously, the Tampa Bay Rams and then San Francisco and Green Bay matchup. And now you wanted to see, and we all know that obviously the losers of those games, Tampa Bay and 49ers, are remarkably different than what we've seen in that that last week in September. So it's kind of just interesting how these teams that kind of came into the crossroads as well. And then, like you said, ultimately, I think the game of the week has got to be the Chiefs and the Chiefs and the Bills. I think this could be a potentially a team that, if whoever's advanced, potentially could be a favorite going into next week, regardless of who wins that Tennessee and Cincinnati game. So that's one thing to kind of watch out for too. And then also the fact of Derrick Henry coming back, and like you said, how will he be incorporated and how effective will he be? It's almost to a point where will the middle of the pack, him getting 75 yards, would that be enough to win this game, or could he go for $150? It's kind of one of the things where it's a crossing between the tell of what type of Derrick Henry we're going to get. And I think that's also going to be probably one of the biggest storylines going into divisional week. So, fellas, let's get into our matchups. First matchup of today, obviously, is the Bengals versus the Titans. Fellas, want you guys' thoughts on the matchup? And I'm going to go with you first, Mo. Your thoughts on the Bengals and the Titans.
So I think Vegas agrees with Jeff. It was announced that Derrick Henry was back, and it moved, half a point? I think it was at 3. What I just looked at, it's at 3.5. So, Vegas doesn't think that Derrick Henry returning really changes much for the Titans. He's not, you bring a quarterback back, they probably go from -3 to -6, -7. He basically moved the line half a point. So I think Vegas agrees with Jeff that, running backs don't matter at the end of the day, as long as they're healthy. I mean, hey, and I get it. And my thing, and I guess I have a question, but everybody, when it's your turn, I guess if you could answer it, is does Derrick Henry coming back change who you have winning this game? Because it doesn't for me. I think Tennessee wins this game regardless. I felt like that, once they got the Bengals matchup. I think it's a great game. I just think the Bengals do have a whole happy to be here mentality. It's after they won that playoff game, anything, like Jeff said, anything after this is it's bonus time for Cincinnati. But if they lose, nobody cares. Nobody's the Bengals stink. Joe Burrow could choke and play absolutely horrible, and they still had a great season. They still got something to build on. Zach Taylor's job is safe at this point. So, there's no controversy that comes out of, no matter how Cincinnati loses, they get blown out, it's not going to matter. And so I just wonder, did Derrick Henry change anybody's mind? Because I still think Tennessee wins. I don't know. That offense is going to, I think they're going to have a possibility of being lethal. I don't know what the weather's supposed to be like. And I look I don't know. I haven't seen yet is if Trey Hendrickson and then I keep forgetting the defensive tackle's name. Are they playing today? Because that's going to be a huge, like, applying pressure on Ryan Tannehill. If Hendrickson's out, like, I think they're going to have a field day just as far as marching the ball down the field because that's their guy to get to the quarterback. And you take him out of that game, Cincinnati doesn't have much of a pass rush. Their defensive tackle got hurt last week as well. I think he's out. And so if you take away their pass rush and stopping the run, whether it's Derrick Henry or, you know, the plethora of backs they have behind Derrick Henry, I think it is going to be a long day for the Bengals because the Titans can air it out. Are they a shootout type of team? It depends on the day, but they can air it out, but they also could just create long drives. And that means the Bengals will have to respond because the Titans can hold the ball 7-8 minutes, score a touchdown or kick a field goal. And, you know, the Bengals are very high power, but I don't know how they respond. If the Titans score that first touchdown and the Bengals go 3 and out, I think it still may be close, but I think the game could be over at that point because all the pressure will be on Cincinnati and it'll be a different type of pressure than they've seen all season. So I think if the Titans, you know, jump out early and put that pressure on the Bengals, I don't want to say fold just because like they are here, but I think if Cincinnati, if they don't respond right away and they go 3 and out, I think that at that point it's a long day for Cincinnati. So I'm taking Tennessee in this matchup. If I put a score on it, I'm going to take them 27-21.
We're going, we'll do predictions at the end as well. So we'll
my bad.
Say that. So you good. Yeah, we just do it like that as well too. But yeah, you good though. All right, Rob, what you got?
So I think, first of all, I don't think Derrick Henry coming back is that big of a deal. Like I said, because the way that team is built, like I just said, the numbers with all the other running backs together, the numbers are the exact same as when Derrick Henry was in the first 8 weeks. I think this defense, the Bengals defense is definitely a lot better than what it was last year. And it's actually kind of built to stop Tennessee. The thing it's gonna come down to, can Tennessee's defense stop Cincinnati? And for what I've seen this year, I don't think they can. Tennessee's defense has played well at points, but just right now, the role that Burrow is on, especially those last 2 games in the regular season, or 2 of the last 3, you know, throwing for nearly 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns in those 2 games. I think it's going to come down to who has the ball last. And Mo, you said it right now. They have the Titans favored -4, so it's gone up a little bit. But I definitely seen it being a lot closer than probably a lot of people think.
What you got, Pat?
Yeah, I think this comes down to the first 10 minutes of the game, the Titans' first possession. I think Derrick Henry does make a big difference. I know that's, you know, against what Jeff goes with the running backs. I think the ability for the play action to be more of a threat than if Foreman's filled in nicely. I can't knock Foreman or any of the other running backs, but if Henry's healthy and the first quarter he comes out looking like Derrick Henry and being able to run over people and wear the defense down, I think that's big for the Titans. Julio's back. He came back a couple weeks back. I think they're 5-1 when Henry, Julio, and A.J. Brown all play. So that's a good stat. The Bengals, if they can stop Derrick Henry, I think they win. But I think he's going to get his. The Bengals are 0-3 when they allow 100 yards rushing to an opponent. Titans are 5-2 when they have a 100-yard rusher. I mean, I just think the Titans, the play action pass is where it's at. I think Derrick Henry is that much more as of a threat than Foreman, and I think the Bengals are going to try to stop Derrick Henry more. And it's going to be a first quarter. Titans need that number 1 time of possession offense to control the ball and score, and they need Derrick Henry to do that. I think in this game, this is the playoffs. You're not playing the Texans.
All right. Who you got, Jeff?
I'm with Pat on this. First of all, I've said all year the one outlier of I hate running backs is Derrick Henry. Like it's going to make a huge difference. I'm suspecting that he's fresh and they're just like, wait till the playoffs and we'll turn you loose. And, you know, a lot of people are like rust. Well, you don't have rust on the first game of the season when these guys are running for 250 yards on somebody. Why would you have rust now? With a running back, rest is great. I think Henry, you know, puts him over I would have picked Tennessee anyway, but I think Henry puts him over the top. You know, I think it still comes down to the experience. Vrabel has proven he's beaten really good teams this year. Actually, Tennessee is one of the few playoff teams that have a lot of really good victories this year. They have some bad ones, but a lot of teams build up on, you know, the other guys in the NFL. Vrabel's got the coaching edge. They've got the experience edge. Cincinnati's offensive line is not getting better this week, and Tennessee will exploit that, and they'll put pressure. It will. I think Henry. I think he's going to get his yards. He'll have big plays. I think it'll be a case to where Cincinnati's going to need to score a bunch of points to come back, and Burrow can do that. But I basically see it. They'll try to do that. Tennessee will get a big interception, maybe run it back, and actually, I think this game winds up being kind of getting away from Cincinnati late.
Yeah, like you said, and I'm almost in agreement with Pat as well, because I think the only way I think Tennessee is going to win is if they get Derrick Henry running. And like, as far as, like you said, breaking down that defense, getting the defense tired. Because I think if it's a shootout, Cincinnati has the advantage, because obviously we look at Joe Burrow since week 14. He's thrown an interception. Because remember, once upon a time, he led the league in interception. So he was an interception machine. And since week 14, he's been on a roll, 100-plus quarterback rating, and he's been doing his thing. And we look at Tennessee. We talk about Tennessee, their defense, they got better compared to last year, but also that pass defense is really suspect. They're almost damn near they're second last as far as pass defense, as far as wide receivers, and we all know Cincinnati has that trio of wide receivers. So to Pat's point, where if Tennessee wants to win this football game, they definitely have to have Derrick Henry running effectively and like killing, getting those, moving chains and just get, and slowing Cincinnati's offense. Because at the end of the day, I definitely think if they cannot get in a shooting match with Cincinnati, I think Cincinnati is lethal. And then even to Cincinnati's, that's their credit. But even last week against Josh Jacobs, they let him run a little bit. So just now you think about, and then also bringing in the other factors when you get, Freeman and then also Hiller, as well as they have a trio of running backs, and also Cincinnati has a trio of wide receivers. So it's one of the things where this is definitely going to be an interesting matchup. And I agree with Pat, where I think it's really Derrick Henry actually is a key factor in this game, because they're going to have to have him in order for them, I think, for them to be successful and win this football game. So the nightcap of today's divisional round, we got the Pats, San Francisco 49ers heading to a balmy Green Bay. so let's talk about this matchup, fellas. I'm gonna go with you first, Mo. What you got? What's your thoughts on it?
So to me, the Packers have to win this game. Like, if there was a team that really has to win, I think it's Green Bay over anybody. And I'm with Jeff that there's meaning for a lot of these teams. They have to win, limited time with Brady. But the Packers have to win, because it's like when they've seen each other in the playoffs in the Aaron Rodgers era, like San Francisco, they got his number. They have Green Bay's number. They know how to beat Green Bay. They had beat Green Bay when they went to the Super Bowl. They murdered Green Bay when they went to the Super Bowl with Garoppolo. If I'm not mistaken, they beat them with Kaepernick as well when they went to the Super Bowl to play the Ravens that year. So I think Green Bay has the most pressure, and I think you have the most pressure because you got Aaron Rodgers. He's been to multiple NFC championships. He hasn't been to a Super Bowl in a while, and he needs to win one. Like, his team consistently has looked like the best team in the NFL. There's no excuses. Like, this year, there is no excuses. I'm not giving Aaron Rodgers a pass if he can't win this game. I don't care the circumstance, unless major injury happens during the game. Knock on wood, I don't want that to happen. But there are zero excuses. Like, all year, we've talked about how the Packers are arguably the best team in football. Aaron Rodgers is probably going to go on and win MVP again. There's no pass. And so they have to win this game. You have to go to the NFC Championship. I think it's Super Bowl or bust, and I think it's win the Super Bowl or bust for the Green Bay Packers. I think that the type of season they've had. But then when you look at the 49ers, like, what they do well is what Green Bay doesn't do well. They can run the ball. Green Bay can't really stop the run. I don't think you're going to put this game in Jimmy Garoppolo's hands. I think the weather, outside of it being at Lambeau, the weather favors San Francisco. It's gonna probably turn out to be that gritty, grinded out football game, and they're gonna run the ball a lot. We know San Francisco will not shy away from the run. They put Deebo Samuel back there, as a running back. They got Elijah Mitchell. Like it's going to be, I think there's going to be low scoring, or at least low scoring compared to some of the other games, because we actually have some like high power matchups. But I think for me, when watching this game, all the pressure is on Green Bay. If San Francisco loses this game, not going to be a failure of a season, but they do need to win too. But I think this is the matchup who the team with the most pressure is, and they get to close it out with all eyes watching them on Saturday night or tonight. And obviously they're the home team, but like I said, I'm just watching this and all eyes, all the pressure's on Green Bay. No excuses for Aaron Rodgers. So people like me who have given him a pass, he gets 0 pass from me if he loses this game. They're the Super Bowl favorites at this point. They should go and win the Super Bowl. That should be nothing. Anything short of that is a failure for Green Bay. And, like, is this Aaron Rodgers' last game in Lambeau? They were to lose. Is this Aaron Rodgers' last game in Lambeau? Does he go on and play somewhere else? So that's also something to think about in the back of your head while watching this game, especially if they lose. Like, was this Aaron Rodgers? This is supposed to be his last dance with Devontae Adams. They made that post going into the season with Jordan and Pippen. This is their last dance. So I think they have to win this game more than – there's more pressure on Green Bay than anybody else.
Rob, what you got?
I think Mo's right in pretty much everything he said. With the weather, I think it's supposed to be around 4 degrees at the start of kickoff. It's the low.
Yeah.
The way that
we're here right now, and I am not going out. I had to talk myself into bringing my dog back in because she was stuck to the patio. Like, I don't know how these guys do it.
Right.
I don't either. But we are supposed to be 4 degrees is low at the start of the game, and since it's a night game, it's only going to get colder. That's not even including the wind chill factor, so it could be, definitely -5, by the time the game gets rolling. But just the way that San Francisco is able to run the ball, we saw it kind of last week against Dallas. Sorry, Mo. But we saw they were able to run it pretty effectively for the most part, especially in the big situations. That third down. The end around to Deebo Samuel, the way he's been able to be a plug and play running back, I think is tremendous. And yeah, it's definitely a must win for these next 2 games and possibly 3 if they're able to get to it is must win for Green Bay and for Aaron Rodgers. Through all the turmoil that they went through this offseason, he's unhappy. He wants to go play somewhere else. They kind of agreed, like, hey, let's try this one more time, and then we'll see what happens. So they don't at the very least get to a Super Bowl. He's pretty much done in Green Bay. And with the only thing that scares me is Jimmy Garoppolo. I think I saw a stat the other day that his QBR in the fourth quarter and overtime over the last few years is literally the worst in the league among qualifying quarterbacks. So it's just depending on if they can get that run game going, which with Deebo Samuel, I think they will be.
And the pressure's on now, Pat. What you got?
Yeah, man, that storyline alone, Aaron Rodgers' last game. I mean, if they lose, it could very well be his last game. And same goes for Jimmy Garoppolo. If they lose, the Niners fans, I mean, not necessarily myself, but they're going to want to move to Trey Lance, which I don't think Lance is ready. He reminds me of Kaepernick right now. Garoppolo has played fine. I think they should give him another year, but we'll see what happens. If they win this game and go on maybe to win the Super Bowl, get to the Super Bowl, whatever the case might be, does Jimmy get another year or do they still move on? I mean, that's one thing that's on my mind right now because I want to keep Jimmy. I've always said from the beginning, if he's healthy, he's the best option at quarterback. My problem was he was never healthy, and he's missed games this year and moving forward. As far as this game goes, they're going to be able to run the ball. The Packers are 31st in yards per carry, I think, or bottom four or five. I mean, they're 4th in run defense, but that's because everybody has to play catch up, so nobody's running against the 4th fewest rush attempts against. So it's a rematch from week 3. We didn't have Elijah Mitchell that game. We didn't have Deebo playing running back. We had Trey Sermon was our leading rusher in that game, so we all know where he's at now. He's not even active for most games. That game was similar to the Rams in week 18. They were down 17-0 early. They fought and clawed their way back, took the lead with 40 seconds left, and then they allowed Devontae Adams to run wide open in the middle of the field and get a game-winning field goal. So, and we didn't run the ball great that game. So I see them running the ball effectively. The only problem is these quick starts. I mean, they look great against Dallas the first quarter. It was 10-0. And then the script goes away and they don't know. They just fall apart. So the fast starts, they got to play well the whole game. They got to get 4 quarters. Otherwise, we know what Rodgers can do in the fourth quarter. So I see it a really close game all the way through. Green Bay, not to say much on them. I mean, they are the favorites, like Mo said. I did pick the Packers to win the Super Bowl. Actually, this was my NFC matchup preseason, NFC title game matchup. So we get a week early. So if Green Bay wins, then I'm going. They hopefully win the Super Bowl. So then I at least got that right. But of course, I'm pulling for the 49ers. But either way, I think the game's going to be crazy. I just hope Jimmy doesn't turn the ball over in the second half. I don't mind the first half, but don't turn it over in the second half. Run the ball. Deebo Samuel's an animal, and I'm jacked. I'm drinking orange juice now. I'm just going to switch soon.
Stay hydrated, Pat. Get some water in as well. Get some
Yeah.
water. Get some bread. Get some bread about what y'all game at 5 o'clock your time. Get some bread about 3:30 your time. Get some bread.
Plenty of water.
Get some bread and some fluid.
Yes,
some Pedialyte as well. Get some electrolytes going. Yeah. And also remember you had the Browns and the Packers in the Super Bowl. I remember that.
Yeah, Browns are out. I switched. I got off them halfway through the season.
Yeah. Let's see. Jeff, what you got?
So basically my number one question is, as of right now, all the guys from San Francisco that went out last week are all playing, but the number one thing I'm watching is my favorite player in the league, Fred Warner. Is he actually healthy? Because if he's not, I don't like. He's the engine that runs this defense. If Bosa is at 80-85%, that's huge. If he as of now he's playing, that's great. But if either one of those guys aren't in, I don't think it's really that close. I love what Samuel's done. I don't have any reason to lean on Garoppolo in these circumstances. The weather is a factor. His fourth quarter is real. Like, there's enough of a cross section now that these things are real. I believe, if I remember correct, last week versus Dallas, didn't he have a wide open reception that would have won the game? I mean, sealed the game, and he misses it, just like in the Super Bowl that year. Like, these things are real at some point, and I don't know. I actually kind of like the guy. I think he's a decent quarterback, but we're playing against the. If Rodgers isn't the best cold weather quarterback ever, then Favre is, but they're 1-2. And this is his environment. Him and Adams are a different animal in these games. So I think the Packers have the edge in every category, even though I've said all season, I stand by it. 49ers are the number one team in the league that nobody wants to play, because it is a fist fight from start to finish. Like, you got to really want it. You got to earn it. Nothing comes easy. So, I think this game affects the Packers more next week. So I'm saying I think the Packers win, but I think this game affects the Packers more going forward in the next week. But it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. And another side note I want to do is, when all the pregame and everything, I'm keeping my eye on how they handle the Kaepernick situation, because you can't tell the story of these two teams without highlighting that game, 10 years ago, and how are they going to handle it? And how are they going to try to wash it out? Are they going to embrace it and just talk about it like he was a player in the league? Are they going to skim over it? I'm so curious to see how they're going to decide to handle the Kaepernick situation, because if this was, any other two teams that have these, long-time historic playoff matchups, they're leaning into this. They're showing specials. They're talking to players. That was one of the most famous games in NFL history that they're trying to erase from the record that night, when he ran for 200 yards on the Packers or whatever in that playoff game. Yeah. So you know what I mean? I'm very curious. Just, you know me, I'm always looking at these side stories. That's kind of my thing. I just want to see how they handle it. And then I'll judge it after that and probably lose my shit. But I just want to see how they handle it.
Yeah. And that's, like we said, it's going to be another interesting matchup. Obviously, this, like we said, the week 3 matchup, rematch. The thing is, I'm really curious, especially on your end, Pat, as far as, are you guys blitz 4 on Aaron Rodgers this week? That's going to be, I think, the biggest question mark with that. And then, just like you said, I think, what you guys have done, especially with the past, Jimmy G, he's been kind of hot and cold stuff, but that offensive line has been tremendous. So I definitely think that's going to be definitely helpful. Obviously, getting Debo, Elijah Mitchell they're going to do their thing. So, and like you said, regardless of the circumstance, San Francisco has always had the ability to run on Green Bay. If it don't, Maserati, your boy Maserati, remember him, Pat? Moser.
Oh, Moser, yeah.
Yeah,
yes,
Moser, Maserati. Any running back that they've had success against Green Bay. So I'm really curious. And I think this is going to happen again. I think a guy that could potentially, I'm not going to say Debo can be stopped, but there is a guy in Devondre Campbell for Green Bay. I think that could potentially be there in the middle and can potentially neutralize Debo in certain spots. I'm not necessarily going to say he's going to stop him. I don't think no one in essence can stop Debo that we've seen thus far. So that is one of the things I think that's good for San Francisco going in. I think also getting the help back with bringing Bosa will be back, Fred Warner will be back. So you'll have those guys who I think are definitely will be a nuisance for Green Bay. And now I'm really curious. Obviously, guys, with you guys, I would say you do have a good passing offense as well. Now the help will bringing back Jair Alexander. Well, that's kind of one of the things where I'm curious about that because he hasn't been back since week 4. So now you're bringing in a guy that hasn't been in there for months. So I'm really kind of curious how you guys will bowl with that. But another great matchup, like you said, I think the weather for San Francisco where they'll run their football and they'll do their thing. So I definitely think it's actually in their favor. And like you said, the person for both. Because one of these teams, whoever it's going to be their last game potentially in their city, because I definitely think Trey Lance is going to be the quarterback in 2022, regardless. I think a lot of people have had their heart set on, that's lynching them. They got their heart set on Lance for 2022.
I know it sounds crazy, but I always go the opposite with cold weather games. I always lean on the better quarterback because, we assume that it's a running game because you're not going to want to pass and all this. So what I always say is if you can pass in the cold, you've got a ginormous advantage over the other team. We saw Eli go to the playoffs because of that. We saw Aaron, go to the Super Bowl because of that. Like Tom Brady won 7 Super Bowls and he played Northeast America. Like, I think cold weather, the advantage goes to the better wide receiver and the better quarterback. And I think that the Packers have the best combination in the league right now, even though Deebo Samuel's probably the MVP of the second half of the season for, what he did for his team. But so, I think that cold weather favors quarterback. We'll see.
I think George Kittle's going to need a big day. I mean, he's been kind of missing. I mean, they used him as a blocker the last couple of weeks because they've been ahead, but he needs to have one of those games like he had against Seattle. He had, I think he had 7 for 91 and a touchdown against Green Bay earlier this year. So they've shown the inability.
Kittle's
to guard
a dude.
him. Yeah.
Seriously, how good is Rodgers going to look in the San Francisco uniform next year? I mean, that's going to be nice.
If that happens, then
it's going to happen.
The Super Bowl, then we have to win today.
Yeah.
If we want Rodgers, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, there you go.
And even thinking about this as a hypothetical situation, what if y'all guys do win, and then you got to go to LA? You could be in LA for 2 weeks. That would be crazy potentially.
You could be in LA for 3 weeks.
For 3 weeks, because
you got the Pro Bowl.
Oh, well, it's in Las Vegas though.
It's in Vegas, but they're gonna be chilling. They gonna be sitting there chilling in LA. After that win, they just gonna be chilling. They're not playing in the Pro Bowl. We know Super Bowl appearance team, so they'll be there next week in LA during the Pro Bowl, and then they'll be in LA for the Super Bowl. So they'll be sitting there for about 3 weeks.
I would personally like to see this version of the 49ers win the Super Bowl because I think they should have had it 2 years ago. I think they did everything they needed to do to get to that point. I would like to see 49ers win the Super Bowl, if I'm being honest. Man. I need 49ers. I need a 49ers Bengals Super Bowl. Come on, another one.
This is the anniversary. This is the anniversary of it. Of one in Miami. Actually, the heartbreaking one for Cincinnati. The heartbreaking loss. The John Candy was the
as a young man from Ohio. That is still. I don't know if I've ever been cut as deep as that play to John Taylor cut me that night. Yeah. That hurt. It still hurts. It hurts every time I see it. It's one of the few plays in football history I just can't watch. the
Right.
drive. I learned to respect it over the years, and I learned to like, oh wow, that was amazing. I still stand by it. If Crumride doesn't break his leg early in that game, I think
Right.
the Bengals win. I was what, 13 years old. I can remember almost every play of that game, that season. There's no describing what the mania was like around here. We all got caught up in it. Man, that one hurt. Shout out to Joe Montana. Shout out to Joe Montana, but I would have fought him. 13-year-old Jeff would have fought him to the death that night.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking. Obviously, the other one in '82 was like it was a blowout. But yeah,
my love for the Bengals stopped. I think it was the next year. If it wasn't the next year, it was 2 years later. The Bengals were the one that ended Bo Jackson's football career. So as soon as Bo Jackson went out with that injury in that playoff game, I've literally never rooted for the Bengals again because I was so upset that they took Bo Jackson from me. So I've got some issues. Hey,
it's all good, man. That's it's all good. Hey, man, it's what it is. So before we get into the Sunday slate of games, Steph, got to give a huge shout out to the good folks at Built Bar. Head over to built.com. Use our promo code Off the Ball. Get yourself, your friends, and whoever 10% off. So use our promo code Off the Ball. So we talked about Saturday's game, but Saturday is what I call the appetizer. Great appetizers, and appetizers are delicious, but we all know in these parts that the
Pat's
main
ready to
course
strangle
is
somebody right now.
Bro, these Sunday games are crazy.
That's great.
Yes, but
The
these
appetizer,
games, yeah,
disrespect.
No, I love.
Hey, Pat, I'm on your side. That's my favorite game of the week. Well, that's my game.
All of them are great. Just four main courses.
Great.
I don't know. I've seen no. Before we get into this, I've seen enough Tom Brady playoff games. That ain't great. That is not a great game.
But we got. I think in theory. I have seen. I'm over. Like I might do a podcast during the Tom Brady game. Like I've seen it enough. I think in theory, why I think this is why I'm in agreement with Mo, where I think these are good matches, because I think in theory, whoever win these games on Sunday are potentially favorites going into next week. So that's one of the things where I look at these as teams that potentially may make that trip to LA for Super Bowl 56. Not saying, Pat, these were people. Right. These are teams that we kind of all, and not just us as a group, as a collective, but just everybody.
Aren't the Packers Aren't the Packers the 1 seed?
Yeah, but I'm saying like preseason, like when the Stafford trade went down, like it was.
The Packers will not be. Packers will not be an underdog next week.
In theory, and like to your most point, we all looked at these two matches on Saturday as actually conference championship games. I knew for me personally, Tampa Bay and LA was for sure was going to be especially after that week 3 game. I was figuring out they're going to play again in the conference championship, not the divisional round. But appetizers are delicious now. Main course are just as equally delicious.
Oh, no. When we get to the Buffalo Kansas City game, I mean, the Buffalo Kansas City game could literally be one of the greatest games. Like stamp it as it could be one of the most memorable games in NFL history.
Yo, yeah, big time.
I mean, I'm sorry, but last week Josh Allen was one of the greatest things I've ever seen on a football field, and I'll just say that it was one of the best games I've ever seen a football player play. That was amazing.
Yeah, that was impressive. 7 straight drives.
It was amazing. Like you knew it when it was happening. It was like he was in that zone level that Jordan created all those years ago, to where like after like the first quarter, you're like, he's just there. Like he's just seeing it. Everything looks different to him right now. There's New Orleans Saints teams like 10 years ago. Remember New Orleans Saints, like they would start clicking and you were watching the game. You're like, oh, we know what's going to happen here. Like nothing's going to stop this momentum. They're going to do whatever they want. Allen hit that level and it was unbelievable.
Yeah. Hey, it's going to be definitely interesting. Just, Buffalo, just keep your what's to yourselves at your home.
Dude, that was
all right.
That was wild. What is going on in Buffalo? Buffalo's different. Buffalo's different. They're only 5 hours away, but
I saw that.
Not related.
I saw that, and I was like, and so I went to Twitter. I was like, did I really see that? I'm like, no, nobody's talking about it. I was like, and I looked at my wife. I was like, yo, did you see what was on the field? She's like, no. but like they kind of showed the back end, and you saw it like flying like right at the very end.
Dude kicked it.
I was like,
Hey, wait a minute. Hey, if you want to have a conversation starter, though, you want to talk about a fan base that gets a pass because of their quote unquote demographics. It's the Buffalo Bills. They can do whatever they want up there in Buffalo, and everybody laughs it off and doesn't say shit, man. Something like that happened to Oakland Coliseum. They would have emptied that place. I'm just saying.
Right.
Buffalo does whatever they want.
They jump on tables, bro.
I'm sorry.
Like,
I'm sorry. It's a
they jump on tables. Right.
They do whatever they want.
They love
Nobody
them,
cares.
bro. Right.
Dude, I'm just let's just put it this way. Like we watch Brown, take his shirt off and go off the field. The first thing, everybody clutches their purse and goes to Twitter and says, "Oh, what about the kids watching that? Buffalo's throwing rubber wieners out there. Nobody cares. Everybody laughs it off."
Exactly.
Like, this just kids being kids.
Them
Buffaloes.
Right.
I can't with Buffalo. I mean, I'm very anti-Buffalo right now, but I like the team.
And it's so lovable to a fact. Even my QB1 is out there shirtless, and I don't even have a problem with it.
Yeah.
They
got a total hall pass. Nobody cares what Buffalo does.
Shout out to Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Don't switch back. You guys love Taylor Heineke.
We had no choice.
He was QB1. I mean, he was right. I mean,
Pat, don't go down this road, man. We ain't going all day.
No, but we know about the history.
I just want to point out that Buffalo got that platinum white card. That's all I'm saying about Buffalo. They're like, put it on us.
Yeah,
we got this. I got everybody. Buffalo fans are essentially that dude that walks in the club and is like, I got everybody's. We're good.
Yeah. We'll have that sad conversation one of these days, Pat. Okay. We'll have time and smoke one of these days for you.
We're back. I'm back. I'm sorry.
So, fellas, let's get into these Rams versus Buccaneers game. Mo, what you got? Your thoughts on the matchup?
Well, I don't agree with Jeff. This is a great game. This is a lot of people's preseason. This was the conference championship. These 2 of 3 teams, people also had Green Bay, but this matchup right here, the next person with all the pressure in the world, Matt Stafford. This is what they traded those picks. This is what they traded Jared Goff for. This is why they acquired Odell Beckham. This is why they went and got Von Miller. This is why they gave up all their draft picks to win this game right here. Like, this is so important. If Brady loses, it's pressure on him. And, all week out of nowhere, we're starting to hear he retires. This is last game. If they lose, whatever. We'll address that when Brady speaks out on that. But the Rams, if they lose this game, you start questioning the Matt Stafford trade. I really do, because you got 2 years. You got this year and you got next year to win a Super Bowl, because that's what Sean McVay made the trade for. That, just like when you look at San Francisco, why they drafted Trey Lance, the thought process behind it was, my guy can't get the job done, and I need that guy to take me next level. Well, what's next level for the Rams? They already was making the playoffs. So next level is getting to the Super Bowl. I think this is another team that, unfortunately, if they win this game, and if what Green Bay was to win, they're going to have to play another guy who's Super Bowl or bust on their season. But they got to get to the Super Bowl. They can't lose in the divisional round and say, well, man, that trade was a success because Cooper Kupp had an all-time great season, and Matt Stafford, looked pretty good. He looked like he was better than Jared Goff. His numbers were better, but the end result was essentially the same. Getting knocked out in the divisional round, you traded all those picks. So that's what I'm looking at with this game. If Brady loses, he's the GOAT. It doesn't matter. Like, okay, he lost in the divisional round, whatever. The Bucs are banged up. I won't say it, but they have every reason why the Rams would be favored in this game outside of being the away team. But the Bucs are favored, but with the Rams being the away team, but the Bucs being so banged up, obviously they lost AB. Godwin's gone for the year. Even some of their players that are coming back are banged up, and I don't always know how healthy those guys are, especially when they're coming back for the playoffs. I think a lot of those guys are at 80%, but you play this because this could be your last game. But this game right here is all on Matt Stafford. I think all the pressure's on Matt Stafford in good weather too. I think you're playing in good weather. You're playing in Tampa, so you're not at a disadvantage having to play in Green Bay or playing in cold weather. And right here could determine, I would love to see what Monday's talk is if the Rams lose this game, especially if the Rams lose this game and Matt Stafford does what he's done a lot during the season. That's throw multiple interceptions in a game, just not be able to step up to the plate in a big way. You go down to the wire, give Brady the ball with a minute and a half left and lose. That's just an unfortunate situation. But you go out here and don't play like a Super Bowl winning caliber quarterback, the talk is going to be totally different around this Rams team on Monday, in my opinion, because I'm going to be talking.
But Mo, this is my point about this game. You're not wrong about what you said, but what I look at, does that make it a good game does that make it an enjoyable game? The outcome gives 2 days of, topics for the media and all that, but that as a viewer, and I'm watching the game, in a vacuum, Stafford circumstances don't make it a good game to me. That's what I'm getting at. Like, I'm talking about just
matchup. I think this game on the field, I think this is an even matchup. Like,
I think the game itself could be good. I'm just saying, like,
everywhere.
Yeah, I'm just saying that if you don't factor in that stuff just as a game, it's a good game. But I've seen, it's another Tom Brady playoff game, and I rank it fourth out of the ones I care about. That's all. But you're right about the outcome. Everything you said is right on. Let's pretend I don't care about that. Then all of a sudden, like, the game's just not that. You know what I mean? I need to see a good game.
Yeah,
I like the Rams. I like the Rams. I like all that. I'm with you.
And the outcome could change. Like I said, the Rams lose this game and Stafford throws 2 picks and doesn't play great.
Rams have to. I don't care if Stafford goes 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. If they don't win, it's a complete failure of a season. I think sometimes we're too easy on football teams, like not calling seasons failure. Like, it's an absolute complete failure if they don't go to the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
So I agree.
Yeah, and they put themselves in this predicament. They gave up all their draft picks, when they grabbed Jalen Ramsey. Then they found some more somewhere and gave those up for Matt Stafford. Then they were able to acquire Odell Beckham when Robert Woods went out. They were able to, convince Denver to send Von Miller over there for minimal draft picks. So they gave up all their future on the next year or two. I give them this year, they go on the hot seat going into next year. But I think all the pressure's on Matt Stafford in this game. This is another playoff game for Tom Brady. I mean, win or lose, whatever. Like, this is just another playoff game.
That's my point. That's my point. It's just another playoff game.
I don't think there's no pressure on him. Like, maybe if he loses, he contemplates retirement. I think that's the only thing you get from that. But with the Rams, like, if they lose, for me, I guess it is about the storyline, because the conversation changes about that. Now we start really diving in and evaluating that Matt Stafford trade. And essentially, like, if you're just losing in the divisional round, you go in the hot seat. Now you thought you had to win the Super Bowl this year. You really got to win the Super Bowl next year, or else, like, the whole trade was a failure at the end of the day.
But again, those are storylines, not the game. That's all my point is.
Yeah.
Postseason, it's more exciting postseason, but actually watching the game, if Stafford's getting his ass whooped, I'm just like, okay, I'm bored. Anybody want to play darts? Okay. Sorry, guys, but go ahead, Cruz. He's ready. Cruz is ready.
So this is my the game I'm least interested in, and only because, one, my wife is a huge Bengals fan, so that's the only reason I have this game ahead as my number one I'm most interested in. And I absolutely despise the Tennessee Titans. So I hope they lose 58-0 today. Other than that, that would probably be my least interesting game. This one, like you guys said, for Tom Brady, win or lose is not going to affect his legacy. First ballot Hall of Famer, he's a GOAT. Nobody will ever be, we haven't seen a talent like his come through this league. Doesn't matter for him. Although, yes, there is some pressure on Matt Stafford. And I know, like Mo or Jeff, you said these are storylines, not the actual game. There's a lot of pressure on Sean McVay and the Rams front office. Like you guys have been talking about this whole time, all the moves that they made, they got to a Super Bowl with Jared Goff, albeit they shouldn't have been in that game because of that, missed offensive or defensive PI non-call, which outside of that, they went to a Super Bowl with Jared Goff. This team is arguably talent-wise better, not only in other positions, but most importantly, the quarterback position. You literally gave up your starting quarterback and draft picks to be able to get Matt Stafford. You go out and get Odell Beckham. The conspiracy theorists are out there saying that the team tore Robert Woods ACL on purpose to give Odell Beckham more playing time. Because it was literally that same week. It was Odell's first game that Robert Woods ended up getting hurt. You go and get Von Miller to bolster up that defense. So everything you've done up until this point was to win, was to win a Super Bowl. Not in 2 years, not in 3 years. This wasn't a rebuild. This was a reinforcing of what you already had to emulate, if not, improve on what you did 3 years ago in making it to a Super Bowl. So if Rams go out and lose this game by anything more than a last-minute field goal or a Tom Brady drive at the end of the game, it's a bust. And Sean McVay and that front office need to reevaluate what the team is going to be looking like going into next season.
It's funny because they ain't gonna have no draft picks, so it's like it's gonna be hard to get anything.
Like I don't know, I don't remember who said it, Mo or Jeff, but they seem to find them. Like I thought at one point they had no more draft picks, and then they were able to find some and get Von Miller.
Yeah, they got some hidden somewhere. Like, oh man, I forgot we received the second round pick from 2002. You'd be like, whoa, wait, what? I thought y'all gave up.
I think they're starting to creep into their 2030 picks that they got to start giving out.
Man, and New England hadn't done anything with draft picks for 20 years. Draft picks are overrated.
To New England they are, because Bill Belichick was just a master developer.
Yeah, but
not
they
everybody
just
can develop
are.
players.
They just are.
And a good cinematographer of practices. With that way, so let's not go there. Exactly.
I mean, we could have a whole discussion. I guess the Bengals are the one team in this playoffs that are built through the actual draft.
More so than everybody, other than the Bills, I would say.
No, the Bills. Yeah, the Bills aren't bad. The Bills aren't bad. They got Stephon Diggs,
acquisitions in the offseason to bolster up that defense.
So basically, what we're saying
is it's a combination.
If you hit on a quarterback, great. That's what we're saying about the draft. So as far as like the draft pick thing, it's overrated.
It's kind of a combination of that too. If you draft good and also get good free agents, like Cincinnati's case, you did get Jamar Chase and you also got Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, but then bringing a guy like a Trey Hendrickson who is a free agent, you think to yourself, oh man, he played big dividends for the team and improved their defense. So it's kind of, I think it's one of the things where, and it's more so if you have to draft right. That's the thing.
Well, hey, we're gonna find out this year. We're gonna find out this year. Philadelphia has like 30 draft picks. So in 3 years, Philadelphia, if they're not in at least the conference championship games, then the draft is useless. That's what I'm saying.
You know what, Jeff? You are right. Because I have posed the question before, are especially, more specifically first round draft picks overrated? I think they are more so now than what they used to be. But if you look back, Coach, you remember this a lot better than I do. When Washington got literally all of the Saints picks for an entire draft plus one for the next year. Yeah. So that way the Saints could go and get Ricky Williams. Exactly. That should have been a Super Bowl team.
And what did we get? Just Chris Samuels and LeVar Arrington. Chris Samuels might be a Washington football Ring of Honor potentially, maybe in our lifetime, potentially, but borderline. But compared to Ricky Williams, or we could have got Edgerrin. Well, I don't think we would have got Edgerrin James, but just in general, where you got
I tell you,
that picks that we had that year, we should have built a Super Bowl team.
Exactly.
I tell you who did it right though. Those what was it? The '89 Cowboys.
Yeah,
them draft picks worked out. So anyway,
right.
I digress.
Right, and just like with the Rams with RG3 in 2012, look at all those guys. Those 6 picks they got from us, none of them really bowled well except for maybe Janoris Jenkins. I mean, that's it. I mean, that's one person I can remember.
But the ones they traded for Ramsey and Miller and Stafford, those have worked out. Like as of right now, they're still in the playoffs. Yeah. I think we undervalue what it means to be in the playoffs.
Yeah. And draft is just like money. It's all about how you invest and how you spend it.
There you go.
I think that's where it really what ultimately boils down to. Yeah, they're great in theory, but you gotta hit on those picks. They're hit or miss, but you just gotta hit on them. I mean, so that's the thing where you just if it's in the right hands, it's perfect. If it's in the wrong hands, it could be a disaster.
Yeah.
But Pat. So Rams and the Bucks.
I'm going to go with, I think this game's definitely a good matchup for the game to be interesting. I just don't think it's going to be an exciting game. I think this is the only game I have going below the total. I think obviously both defenses are elite. last week we didn't gain a lot from either of their games. I mean, the games were over in the first quarter, and I don't know how much that has to do with these two teams or how bad Philly was and how bad Arizona was, because they were awful. Both Jalen Hurts and Kyler Murray just completely took a dump on the field. Hurts couldn't make a throw. They couldn't run. Tampa's defense did look like Super Bowl defense from last year, though. Shaq Barrett, those guys were all flying around the field. The safety was, I can't remember, Jordan Whitehead. He was all over the field. So this game, I think, it's a chess match, and who's better at chess than Tom Brady? I think that O-line's got to hold up, though. Von Miller, Von Miller, Aaron Donald are going to be a problem. Jalen Ramsey's going to take away Mike Evans. I mean, Gronkowski's going to have a monster game, and if Eric Weddle's in the game, that's where they're attacking. I guarantee it. That's going to be the game plan.
Yeah.
This game, I think you can watch this game, the first quarter and the fourth quarter of this game, and get the whole picture of the game. I'll probably watch the whole game, but I think it comes down to the fourth quarter and just a grimy game. I think it's just a boring, grind out type game.
Yeah. Okay. All right, what you got, Jeff?
Yeah. Basically, I like what Pat said. I was talking to a Rams fan earlier this week that stopped me in the hallway, and we were discussing it. And it's that Tampa Bay's defense looked like they like I thought they would all season last week. And if I'm a Rams, team, then that concerns me. If these guys are running around like they did that we saw late in the playoffs last year. Again, it's a ho-hum game. I hope it's really good because both these teams can put up numbers and make it huge plays and just be a fun game to watch. So I just hope it's a fun game to watch. I think I'm leaning towards the Rams because I predict that this game will be the stamp on Aaron Donald's career as to where he's going to just win a game by himself. Like we got the Reggie White Super Bowl to where like that was the game. He's like, okay, I'm here. I'm going to win this game. Even though he had a bunch of games like it, that was the one, you know what I mean? And I think this is Donald's. I think he's just going to go into it and figure it out. He's going to harass. I picture it, Donald harassing Brady like the 07 Giants did. I think that's what I predict for this game. And then it's going to cement his legend, in NFL history. So that's what I'm thinking. So I think the Rams pulled out.
And I see. So yeah, this is going to be, I think, like you said, I looked at this, especially in the beginning of the season, as a NFC Championship game. But obviously, this is going to be divisional. I think the biggest key is for Tampa Bay is, and like I said, they're eerily similar when it comes like the weapons. They have a multitude of weapons. They all have X factors. I look at on both sides. Crazy thing that Odell Beckham is a quiet weapon but deadly. And look on the other end with Tampa, you got guys like Cameron Brate, Tyler Johnson, who I think could be effective in this matchup as well. The biggest thing is the Buccaneers not having Tristan Wirfs. I think that's by far the worst news for them. And I was going to give a shot to our guy Rob, but Rob is off the camera. But you look at even after Tristan Wirfs after he left the game, Ryan Kerrigan got a sack off of him and got a sack in that game for Philly. So you look at guys like maybe a Leonard Little is probably going to be on that assignment, and they might switch. And
that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. If they gotta help that side, then who's going to benefit? Aaron Donald.
Yes, and that's the thing. I think losing him is going to be really big for this team, especially because this ain't Philly. Philly wasn't really as far as a deadly front seven type of team that can kind of attack you. They were kind of so that's going to be kind of one thing that I think is going to be different in this matchup. Obviously, Matthew, and it's funny because we talk about Matthew Stafford. Now, want to see, can he replicate that success that he had in week 3? Because in theory, that was one of his best games against Tampa Bay in that week 3. So now, like you said, the pressure is on because there's an expectation already that what we've already seen from him in the season against the same team, although it was in September. But we all know how people are. People look at bodies of work. People see things that we've seen from the past and judge based solely on what we've seen in the past. So I think a lot of people are going to draw to that situation in September, as you know, and like you said, he set that bar in September already. So, like you said, that's where the pressure lies. More so than just like you said, the elimination, or as far as the chips against the wall. Chips, all the chips are with the Rams, as far as putting all the chips chips in for Matthew Stafford, which and it's a sizable pressure. Brady not necessarily, because even though they're undefeated since he's been there as far as postseason wise, it could be broken. We've had in New England, he had records that, not records, but he had expectations that end up becoming shattering down. But that's fine. So that's, like you said, he can come back at 45 next year and can do this all over again and potentially have that same success versus Matthew Stafford. He's there for a short period of time, but that's when you said that when the Rams got to look at themselves, hey, if it ain't this year, but next year, the pressure is going to be definitely on to a point where next year is going to be Super Bowl or bust. I think that's the pressure boiling up now, but it's to a point where the pot, you got the lid on the pot now, but the pressure going to be, you have to take that lid off that top next year if they don't succeed this year. So it's critical. So, fellas, I guess we can all say in agreement that this could potentially be the game of the week, potentially. And we say that for the nightcap with the Bills and the Chiefs. I know me personally, this is a do not disturb game on many accounts. So, Bills and the Chiefs. What's your thoughts on the matchup, Mo?
Yeah, this is my game. This is my game of the week. Like, this is everything you want. I wish this was the conference championship game. I mean, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen coming off an amazing performance. Like Jeff, when you really just dive in and actually watch it and appreciate it, man, this was performances by a quarterback we've seen in the playoffs. And what Raiders, it was against a Bill Belichick defense. Like, we were ranting and raving about how well the Patriots defense was. Cold weather, like going into the game, people ran and raving how much of a disadvantage Buffalo's at. This is a tough game for them to play in. And essentially flawless. They didn't punt. They scored on every possession against Bill Belichick. Like, if greatest coach of all time, one of the greatest defensive minds of all time, and Josh Allen tore that defense apart. Their defense was flying around. I think ever since that first loss against New England, this has been a totally different Buffalo team. Like, them playing that chip on their shoulder. And so I think see that they've already beat the Chiefs. This isn't the same Chiefs team either, though. And so I think this is the quarterback matchup we get. Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes. They both have played incredible throughout this season. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's so much to say about this game. This is, to me, the best matchup. I think this is probably the most even matchup. When you really look at it, like, this could go either way. You won't be surprised if the Bills win. You won't be surprised if the Chiefs win. And then when Jeff always refers to, sometimes when he gets aside, he looks at who's the better quarterback. But up to this point, especially the past few weeks, I don't even know if we could determine who's really been better quarterback. I think I would take Mahomes with a slight edge. But after what Josh Allen did last week, if he's coming in with that same type of prowess, I can't say that Mahomes will outplay Josh Allen mano y mano. So, I mean, this game has everything. I know this means a lot to the Buffalo Bills. I know the Chiefs are trying to avenge their loss against Buffalo earlier in the season. I know they're trying to reach back to the Super Bowl and make it, 3 in a row. I know they're trying to win after got blew out. I still think that sits on their mind, how they got blown out. They came out slow this season. But this is the matchup. This was my conference championship right here. This is what I said. It's going to be the Bills, Chiefs. We're going to see if Josh gets over that hump or if this is Patrick Mahomes' conference. I mean, and then there's so many storylines, but I think the product on the field, I'm not going to say it's going to be that high scoring, but to me, this screams that Chiefs versus Rams game back in, what was that? Was that 2018? When it was 50-something to 40-something? It was an absolute shootout. They moved from Kansas City to LA. That game, I think it has this kind of potential. Will it be that high scoring? I don't know if you'll see that in a playoff game, but this screams like both teams getting the 30s, down to the wire, everything you want to see in today's NFL. I think this is the perfect matchup. is the best matchup of the weekend. And like, this is going to be one of those, like, do not disturb. Like, I just want to sit here and cap off my weekend just watching great football. I think this could go down as one of the best playoff games we've seen in some years. I really believe if there's a game I'm a stamp that said this could be the best game we've watched in a while, I think this could be one of the best playoff games in the divisional round that we've watched in some years.
And thank goodness for the NFL for having this game at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time for us East Coast folks. And it's a work night too.
I hear that.
Y'all like, oh, thank you, Roger Goodell. You answer my prayers. What?
Yeah, because it easily could have been an 8:00 game.
Yes, and then it's midnight, and be a little sluggish on Monday.
Because you're not going to sleep. You're not going to sleep during this game.
Right. I'm a sacrifice. They're gonna be like, why? It's a it's a raw.
I think that I think it's going to be very close. I think it is going to be high scoring. I think both of these quarterbacks are going to come out, throwing the ball. They're going to come out efficient. It's probably not going to be as high scoring as that Rams-Chiefs game from 2018 that Mo was talking about, but it's definitely going to get close, and I think it's going to get close. The thing is, which Josh Allen are we going to get? Are we going to get the Josh Allen from last week that we've seen over the majority of the season, or are we going to get the Josh Allen against the Jacksonville Jaguars? That Josh Allen, you would have thought the defensive Josh Allen for the Jaguars was playing quarterback for the Bills that day. But ultimately it's going to come down to, again, who has the ball last. I think clock management's going to play huge in this game, especially in the last 4 minutes.
Oh God. These teams are terrible at clock management.
Oh yeah.
If it goes out of clock management and you got Andy Reid, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So it could be good or bad. Whoever has the ball last could end up winning or being the reason that they lose. But I definitely think it's going to be a high scoring game. This is the most exciting game this weekend by far. If you don't have, obviously for Pat, the most interesting game, it's obviously the one later on today. But if your team's not in this, not playing this round, this Bills Chiefs game is the most interesting and the one you're most looking forward to.
Big time. What you got, Pat?
So I know obviously Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen are the headliners. You got Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Stephon Diggs, Dawson Knox, all these guys. Devin Singletary is the key in this game to me. Yeah. They're 5-0 in the last 5. Devin Singletary has 7 touchdowns in those 5 games. He scored in every single one. Buffalo, since they started running the football and making sure they stay balanced, looks unbeatable in a way. If they can stay balanced and not abandon the run game like they did last year and what they've done over the last 5 games, I think they win. On the flip side, if they decide to try to just go in and outpass Patrick Mahomes in that offense, I think they lose. So it's going to be interesting. I think they have to get Singletary involved. They have to block well up front. Josh Allen needs to be involved in the run game as well, so they can kind of, whatever the read options, get Allen wide, get him on the outside of the numbers rolling out. I think that's it. And then on Kansas City side of the ball, they got to stay patient. Buffalo secondary, the 2 safeties back on the back end are elite. I can't believe nobody made the Pro Bowl.
Right.
If they can, and Mahomes he's turned the ball over before. So if they can force a couple turnovers, I know they did that in the first game. But yeah, I think the key sounds crazy. I think the key to this game is Devin Singletary.
Yeah. I agree with you, Pat. What you got, Jeff?
I mean, Pat just nailed it. Seriously, must be why I like his show so much, because I'm like, right, like the safety play for Buffalo. I think Allen, this version of Allen, like he's playing better right now than anybody in the league, even Mahomes. Now we saw last week what Mahomes can still do, off schedule is still, I don't know if we've ever seen anything like it, but Allen's doing the same stuff. And what I really like now is we know Buffalo's going to sling the ball. Like that's just their identity. But what I saw last week was the receivers have figured out how to play that game now. Like they're just always kind of open. They always know, like Allen feels comfortable with where to put the ball for each receiver. That's what jumped off the screen to me. I'm like, oh, okay. And that kind of reminded me of the Chiefs a couple years ago. Once they figured it out, like, oh, okay, now we've got something. So I think Buffalo's offense has the advantage. I think their defense probably has the advantage too, because I don't think Kansas City's defense, they've gotten a lot better, and they're good enough. But Allen's just kind of a different animal. I think this is the game he sells out. I would not be shocked if he had 100 rushing yards just off a chunk yardage here, a big run here or there. I think this is the game more than even if they make it to next week that you're going to get the best of him. And so I have the Bills winning this. I won't say convincingly, but convincingly as far as like when the game's over, you'll feel like they were the better team, if that makes any sense.
I feel you on that one. This was going, like you said, it's going to be definitely an interesting matchup. And I know Pat talked about the actual, as far as Devin Singletary. I think the key also on the other end is Jared McKinnon. I think especially him as obviously as a receiving option. And we know Buffalo's they've been very stout when it comes to running backs catching out the backfield. So I'm kind of interested in how they're going to handle that as well. Another individual matchup that I really want to see is going to be Travis Kelce and Max Milano. I think that's going to definitely be kind of one of those interesting matchups. We look at like how Buffalo has been when it comes to tight ends. So I think that's going to definitely be an interesting matchup as well. Obviously, we know the Bills, their pass defense, like you said, Pat, none of them, like you said, it's crazy. No Pro Bowls. That is so bizarre to me. I've never seen that before where, statistically wise, as a unit, no one goes. Never happens.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Because Poyer had is an all pro. Yeah. And my memory serves correct. So I'm like, how you become an all pro, but then don't make the Pro Bowl?
Yeah.
So I thought to myself,
because the Pro Bowl is done by the fans, and we know the fans.
Pro Bowl's not 100% fans. No,
it's it's a mix. It's like fans, media, and peers, right? In my memory serves. I know it ain't like the NBA one, but it's similar, like not formula wise, but it's combined to those factors. But a lot of it, like you said, a lot of people do get slept on a Pro Bowl. You're right, Rob. Because a lot of people, and I got that thing more so because people just know a peer thing. But even you think Poyer and has been around, so that's one of the things where I'm really shocked that even with them, they've been around. They're not like neophytes. That's why I'm kind of like really shocked.
Do you think it's possible it's because Buffalo fans can't read or write that they don't vote on the Pro Bowl? Is there a possibility of that?
I think they're busy just jumping.
I'm just throwing possibilities out there.
I don't think they feel balanced. I think they jump out. They jump in mid out of nowhere and jump on tables and break tables. Oh yeah. So that's it.
I was just asking the question.
I don't know. We gotta definitely check.
I think they're probably still voting for Thurman Thomas. I'm sorry, Bills fans.
No, they gonna get you. They ain't that thing too far. What's New York in and Ohio?
I'm gonna say I'm not near far enough away. Like I need to be like in Pat territory before I start talking smack.
You need a border. You need a border behind you and some interstate highway.
Yeah, you ain't lying. I'm just kidding, Bills fans. Love your wings. Love your wings.
Yeah, we know it. We know it's all love.
Y'all need to stay out of the lines, then. Though y'all need to stay out of the lines, then.
But I think this match is gonna definitely fill up to the bill. I think definitely like we said, everybody echoed that sentiment. Like I think this is gonna be one. We got two guys who I think gonna I'm not a forecast kind of guy, but it's kind of one of those guys where I look at it where these will be the two quarterbacks I think potentially are going to be. Leading the conference for years.
I think going into next year, Allen is the best player in the NFL. I think he's taken the job. I really do.
But and this is kind of one of the things where I think we look at it from. I know for me as a going forward, this is something that we're gonna see tons and tons of times if they stay healthy. And what we think these strong organizations have built around them, which I think will continue. So that's another thing too, where we see that this is
I'm concerned too that the refs are going to have their hands all over this game. I'm really nervous about that. Yeah, this feels like the game, like it's going to be like, oh my God, like something feels weird. Like I'm not saying it's rigged or anything like that. I just think the refs are just going to have their hands all over this game.
there could be a PI call that's a little questionable. That could be
holding.
a holding.
Especially when you got two guys that get out of the pocket this much and throw off schedule and all these things. Like you're gonna have guys turning their backs. You're gonna have holds and PIs and all these veteran.
Roughing the passers potentially, and could be a situation where, do they get hit out? If there's a line between, the line of scrimmage and outside the line of scrimmage, where there could be some friction that happened there, where there's going to be, and anything, and even like potentially even like in Pat's game in San Francisco, where this could be a game of inches, where, and I'll be real with you now. That's to be, a home for Pat. That's my guy. But even though I don't hate none, but on the football team, but they got did on that 4-for-1 play. That was first. But I digress. But those type of plays probably will happen, where you have those situations where it's gonna come down to those type of critical plays.
No, I will say this though. Like this is so. I just want to put this out there. Like no offense, sports fans, but you can't come on Twitter complaining about the delay game call after the false start. They let that happen so they could. It was better for the punter. Like I saw people going on Twitter like, "Oh, how could you get a delay game after the offsides?" I'm like, they were going to punt. Like they were going to punt from like the 45. Like they knew they were going to get a delay game. I just want to put that out there. Like I saw some of that. I'm like,
it's
like,
strategy.
I'm like.
Right.
Yeah, I'm like, why would you be mad at your team punting from the 50 instead of 40? Like it made no sense. I'm sorry, but it just,
and then
stuff like that irked me because I'm like, what am I doing here?
Look what would have happened. Then you would have got them at midfield. Then what could have happened? That could have been a scoring drive for Dallas. But like you said, that's like I said, Twitter. I stay away from Twitter. Like me and Rob, I told you, I stay away from that, especially during games. It's toxic.
I try.
It's toxic.
It's toxic. I have to be involved in it.
I know. I understand, but I'd be like, nah. Maybe after the game, after people have some level heads, but nah. People be. It's toxic. It's a cesspool.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to drown in that. You feel me? But
no, I love it.
So but it gets tiresome at the time.
That was just the one that got me last week. I'm like,
bro.
The worst thing you can do as a coach is call a timeout to prevent a delay game when you're going to punt. That's like the worst thing a coach can do in football is waste a timeout on the delay game on a punt.
Right. Considering the fact that you try to catch them off sides,
you mentioned the rigged crowd. I just can't stand it because every time after the game they're like, "Oh, it's rigged." If it's rigged, go bet on the side it's rigged for, because then you'd be a millionaire. If you know it's rigged.
You know it's rigged.
Exactly.
I can't even.
Right.
It's wild.
Because most people that say that have never bet in their life, I'm like,
exactly.
Literally, that's why there's a point spread. So games can't be rigged. That's literally why there's a point spread. Like
we'll have
Vegas doesn't. Yeah, me and Pat, we've talked about this. Like Vegas doesn't want one side to win because they want it to be right down the middle because they want everybody's money. Like they don't. Everybody thinks Vegas is going to risk like $1 billion to have one. It doesn't make any sense.
It's rare when that happens.
It's rigged. And how would you? I mean, how would you rig some of these games? Like, okay, at the end of the game, what I want you to do is call a draw play, but when you get up to the ball, make sure your center grabs it. Like, how would you possibly script that in any imagination whatsoever?
And speaking of Speaking of point spread, we definitely got to give a huge shout out to the good folks at Bet Us. Head on to Bet Us. Use our promo code Off the Ball and use our code where you'll get 125% up. 125% sign up bonus. So I did the math. So if you head on to Bet Us. You put in $100, use our promo code Off the Ball. They'll give you 125%, $125. So definitely head over there to Bet Us. Use our promo code Off the Ball. So, fellas, it's time for predictions. Let's go our divisional round picks. So we'll go around the horn. Pat, we got the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Tennessee Titans. Who you got, Pat?
I got the Titans. I'm going Tennessee.
Right.
I think they get it done.
Okay. Rob, you got a dog in this fight slightly.
A little bit. But this doesn't affect my pick. I got Bengals 30-28.
Okay, Rob. Oh, somebody going on the road next week. Somebody going on the road for the AFC Championship next week.
Oh, there you go.
Somebody bundles. Let's go, Jeff. What you got?
I just think everything leans Tennessee in this game. I've got Tennessee 35, Bengals 17, and not because the Bengals play bad. I just think it gets away at the end. Like you know what I'm saying. You guys, I think it's an even game through like 2.5 quarters, but I just think it gets away from them. Pick six or some silly stuff like that. 35-17, Tennessee.
Yeah, I got the Titans winning this game. Let's see. In the nightcap, we got the San Francisco 49ers heading to Green Bay. Pat, who you got?
And on that Titans game, I think they win close. I think for point spread reasons, I know the spread's 3.5. I took the Titans money line. I think it's close. I think it might come down to a field goal.
Okay.
As far as San Francisco, Green Bay, you know where I'm going. I'm going San Francisco.
All right.
This is probably my least confident game, but I can't pick against San Francisco. We're rolling with it.
Hey,
got it.
On the road next week again. Smell like the 2012 Baltimore Ravens.
Hey, that's a good comparison.
Hey. Rob.
As much as I want San Francisco to win this game, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to find a way to do it. Either he's going to find a way to win, or Jimmy G is going to find a way to lose and find his way in DC next year. So I got Green Bay 33-30.
Okay. Who you got, Jeff?
Yeah, I got Green Bay winning. I'm with everybody. I would be rooting wholeheartedly for San Francisco, but as an analyst, for everything I've said just about the advantages, I've got Green Bay probably something like 27, San Francisco somewhere 20, 19 points, something like that. I think that it makes Green Bay sweat, but I don't know if San Francisco can get the points they need. But I sure hope they do. If I get Deebo Samuel with a game-winning touchdown, like I'm going to be, the most excited non-San Francisco fan in the country, because I'll just love it. So I want it to be a great game, and I do hope San Francisco wins, and I hope Aaron Rodgers, I don't know, gets strep throat and can't talk afterwards.
Wow. All right.
I'm over him.
I totally understand.
Yeah. He's just so much smarter than me that it's hard for me to deal with him because he's so smart.
Yeah. Give me Green Bay in this matchup. I think that Green Bay take care of business. All right. So for the Sunday games, we got the LA Rams and the Tenbay Buccaneers. Who you got, Pat?
I hate this because you know the saying. I'm going Rams. I think the Rams went outright. I think Brady's under pressure, like Jeff said, and we all kind of agree Donald's a problem. I'm taking Rams. I think it's close, but I think the Rams get it done.
All right. What you got, Rob?
I don't think it's going to be that close. I got Tampa Bay 31-24.
Okay. All right.
Nice.
We got Jeff.
Yeah. I think the Rams defense is the difference in this game, and it gets away from him. And Brady, the thing about Brady, he'll let a game get away from him if it's out of reach. I could see just him imploding like he kind of did with the Saints there a few weeks ago. So I think the Rams take a big lead late. It's probably a deceptive win, but Rams like 35, Tampa Bay 21.
Okay. Yeah, give me the Rams. I think the Rams will take care of business. I think the Tristan Wirfs injury is gonna be hell for Tampa Bay to overcome. Let's see, and then to round out divisional round, we got the Bills and the Chiefs. Who you got, Pat?
I'm going Buffalo. Buffalo, and Jackson Mahomes is going to have to delete his videos. He's dancing on the sidelines, and he's going to have some Twitter drama afterwards, and probably some news stories come out because he couldn't get seated at a restaurant after the game, and he's just going to be sad. Whole Kansas City is going to be sad. Chiefs Kingdom, sad.
Next time I go to Kansas City, I think I'm going to go to that restaurant. I'm going to make a way to go to that restaurant and shake everybody's hand, literally, until my hand fall off potentially. I got to make sure. I got to do my homework on that one next time I go to Kansas City. I'm for sure going no BS. Rob, what you got?
If we could ever find a situation where Jackson Mahomes completely disappears from the internet, I'd be happy. I got Buffalo winning this. I got them 45-40.
All right. Jeff, what you got?
Yeah. I'm all in on Josh Allen. There's no reason for me to doubt what he did last week. I think Buffalo wins. We'll say I don't think it's quite that, like 35. It's probably like 35-28 Buffalo. I think the Bills are just they're just at that point. Sometimes you can feel with these teams, after all the years, it's Kansas City's been playing really good, but I still think they're vulnerable, and I still question Andy Reid. I mean, the fact of the matter is, they got the Super Bowl they shouldn't have got. They failed again last year. Like once I think we really look back on this Kansas City team after they lose this weekend, we're really going to look at what their legacy actually is, and it's going to be the same we looked at with the Philadelphia Eagles when Reid left there. So I got Buffalo winning this game because I just think they're better prepared and they're ready for it, and they've got the better quarterback.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually just roll with the Chiefs because I do have a Rams Chiefs Super Bowl from the beginning. So I'm gonna stay 10 toes down on that one, on my prediction on that one. So, fellas, let's put a bow on this week. See you Sunday. I'm gonna go around the horn, fellas, social media, and plug anything you got going on. And I'm gonna go with you first, Pat.
Not much, man. We just released our first episode of 2022. We had a month off. We took a month off as we typically do during the holidays. So it's just at Say It Out Loud Sports on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. That's it. So every Wednesday.
All right. Rob.
You already know where you can find me, FNC Pod on Twitter, Football and Chill Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. I did not do Cruise Island last Wednesday. Don't know if I'm going to do it this Wednesday. I have COVID once again. So as you can tell from my voice, I'm not feeling the greatest. So we'll see. I'm just going to play it by ear.
Good. Yeah. And get well, bro. Absolutely. And what you got, Jeff?
Man, this time I thought Rob was just using his sexy voice. I had no idea. I just playing. Get well soon, brother. Yeah, I'm Jeff at Jeff Needs Sports. We got a ton going on with the off season. We got Jeff Needs Sports shows. We got all the Off the Ball Network shows. Me and Stephen Gillespie, Under the Radar, are getting ready to debut our new entertainment division. We got Setting the Screen coming up. Yeah, it'll be out soon. We're doing the Replacements. The first edition is going to be the Replacements, the 2000 football sort of movie. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we got a ton going on right now. So yeah, everybody go to offtheballnetwork.substack.com and check out what all the guys have going on right now. Appreciate it, Coach. You're the best.
Appreciate it. Yes, indeed. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, On the Couch Coach Live. Check us out on social media. Also, check out the podcast live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also, the Washington Football Guys podcast, we will return on February the 2nd. Time to be determined. I don't know, we're going to be the Commanders, the Admirals, the Presidents, but we'll be here to voice our opinions, and definitely me and my guy below, I got Rob from the Football and Chill podcast, do the Washington Football Guys. So definitely take a gander and check us out. And and that's just about it. So once again, another great show, fellas. Definitely appreciate you guys for taking time out your Saturdays to preview the divisional round. And we got great games today. Good luck to you, Pat. I'm a Cal guy as well. I'm a Cal, Sean, and Matt guys. So all of those guys are always going to be my guys, regardless of what people say. And I've been saying that before they even were famous at this point. When they was even with us in 2013, I always looked at Cal Shanahan as a guy I really liked. So this isn't just fluff. This isn't fluff. I've been on the Cal Shanahan train from the jump. I've been a fan. But
what could have been? What could have been?
I think about it, but I don't. I think it would have worked because just the organization that's going on. I don't think they would have had the type of opportunities like with Cal. I think Cal, him, and I can't believe it, and John Lynch, they have synergy, and that's how I say that's how you build a team. You get a general manager and a coach, and they lock in step. That's what happens.
Yeah, you don't hire Mike Mayo,
right? You don't
because he has cool sound bites about guys from North Dakota State.
And I love Mike Mack, and I'm so glad he's going. I'm so glad. I want him to get focused on the draft and cover Notre Dame games. Get rid of Drew Brees. Now let me stop. I love Drew Brees.
Oh man,
let me stop. Let me leave him alone. I'm gonna leave him alone.
Rough. No man, you're too nice, coach. Nicest guy in business. Drew's over there like a mannequin. Like, hey, somebody wake up Drew.
Right. But yeah, man, definitely once again another great show. And we'll catch you guys next week. This has been this week. See you Sunday. We'll see you Sunday and actually tonight for the game. So definitely appreciate that. And when we're out, we out. All right.
Go Niners.
Yeah.